Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Tom Spark and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing the cons of NordVPN. Now, if you're like me, when you're looking to buy a product, you just don't want someone showing you the pros. You want someone giving you the actual cons, so that way you can decide if those cons are worth it enough to you not to buy that product. Now, in this video, just to be clear, guys, I do like NordVPN. It's the VPN I use day to day. It's my top rated VPN here on the channel, and the pros vastly outweigh the cons, and I've shown that in my objective NordVPN reviews. That said, in this video, I'm going to be showing you the cons, so that way you might even want to buy it even more. You want objective, verifiable cons to help you decide if you should buy a product. So guys, if you like this objective take showing you guys the actual cons of NordVPN, but you still want to buy the product, I'm going to be putting a link in the description down below. If you click on that affiliate link, I'll make a small cut of money. You'll get a good discount as well, and an extra month for NordVPN. So you're supporting honest, verifiable reviews here on the channel, and I'm helping you decide if you should actually spend your money. So guys, if that sounds good to you, let's get into the video. So guys, I would say the first con with NordVPN is that the pricing model does require some kind of knowledge of how it works and how to get the best deal. For example, if you buy the 2-year plan of NordVPN, you'll get 28 months for around $83, which is actually one of the best deals in the industry. And if you look at the speeds NordVPN can give you, it's actually a very high price to performance ratio. For example, I actually did a study showing, I tested all the different VPNs with their speeds and kind of showed how fast they can get and the price you'll pay. And NordVPN was only second to Surfshark in terms of price per performance, but was actually faster than Surfshark in the speed test, just for $10 more for 2 years. That said, the con with NordVPN is that you will be charged more for your next term. And it could be honestly a little bit clearer about that on the website. It says $83 for the first 28 months. So after that term, you will be charged significantly more year per year. And I believe it's anywhere from around $100 to $150 year after year. I do believe this is how Nord recoups some of their costs, since I actually think the value of the VPN is higher than $83 for 28 months. I would say the actual value is closer to what they actually do charge after that first term. So this is a significant con, a very big price increase, and I'm not trying to say that it is not a con. However, the answer to this con is simply buying NordVPN with cryptocurrency. You could spend upfront to get that term. You can also turn off auto renewal. So after 2 years, come back for another deal, which there might be even a better deal after that term. Or you can always use something like privacy.com to make sure you don't get charged again. Or after those 2 years, like before those 2 years are over, maybe around 3 or 4 months before they're over, you could kind of reevaluate, decide if you want to continue with NordVPN. So there's definitely some answers to that con, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's definitely a con to this service. Unfortunately, it's also a con to a lot of other VPNs. Almost every single VPN I see nowadays has some kind of deal up front and then increase in price after term. And I've even seen this with some antiviruses being even worse. And some antiviruses like Malwarebytes lately has decreased your actual device use and make you pay more for more device use, which is just ridiculous. Another quick con related to the pricing model is that NordVPN actually used to offer a 3-year plan, which is kind of nice. It was even cheaper than it is now. You could get like 3 years for around $100. Fortunately, it's just not something that's offered anymore with NordVPN, but it's also not really offered to other VPNs either. At some point, they probably figured out it was more profitable to sell 2-year plans than 3-year plans. And that's just kind of a reality of the current VPN marketplace, but just something I thought I would mention very quickly. Another con with NordVPN is that it does not have a Linux GUI. That means if you're using a specific Linux operating system and you like using graphical user interfaces, NordVPN does not support that. Some other VPNs, actually like Surfshark, do support a GUI, which is nice. So that's definitely a little con with NordVPN, just they don't seem to support a GUI for Linux. I don't know if they think people don't want one or what, or they don't have interest in making one. I'm not really sure the case there is. The answer to this con, or if maybe it's not a big deal to you, is that most people using Linux do kind of like to use terminals. And also NordVPN, the Linux client is actually open source. So that is pretty cool. Not very many VPNs actually have an open source Linux client. So that is a good thing for Linux users. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for your GUI, NordVPN does not have it for Linux. Another common NordVPN is port forwarding. NordVPN does not support port forwarding. Now, you might not even know what this is, and I myself have never really cared enough to kind of implement it with my VPNs because usually I haven't really found or implement it day to day. I've kind of done some tests and didn't really find it made anything that much faster. So VPNs, some VPNs offer really not that many VPNs nowadays. Some VPNs like Molvad used to offer it, and they actually kind of took away that feature because they found that implementing port forwarding kind of drew a certain amount of audience for seeding and distributing files, and they were kind of getting in trouble, I think, for that. So a lot of VPNs just simply don't offer this feature for that reason. Some kind of purists out there say you should only use a VPN for torrenting if it offers port forwarding, since it can't optimize speeds maybe a tiny bit. There's really only a couple VPNs out there that now offer this feature, like AirVPN. However, AirVPN is so much lower rated in the tier list compared to Nord in terms of usability, speeds, features, development. AirVPN doesn't even have an iOS application. But that said, the con here is that NordVPN does not support port forwarding. There's some argument to be made that there could be some vulnerabilities with port forwarding, and it could not be something you necessarily want to use. However, that said, NordVPN just doesn't really offer this as a feature with their service. So that's something to kind of think about if you really kind of hung up on this one. In my opinion, it's not really a big deal because NordVPN, even without port forwarding, is still faster than those VPNs with port forwarding. So that's something to think about. For example, in the study, I actually included AirVPN in here. And as you can see, NordVPN is much faster than AirVPN. Well, not much faster, but still fast enough. If you look here, Nord got around 600 megabits per second. AirVPN was around 550 or something like that if I picked the right server, or closer to 500. And it is still a pretty good value, but Nord is still a better value for the cost to performance ratio. So that's something to think about again. Another common Nord is that they don't really offer a privacy package with something like email. Now, some VPNs like Proton have kind of started off as an email service, Proton Mail, and then they kind of migrated to VPN. So they kind of have more kind of packages that include email and VPN, but NordVPN is more of a VPN that focuses on the Nord Drive password manager. It doesn't have an email service, and some people want to buy an entire suite of products and one bundled for a good deal. But unfortunately, that's not the case with Nord. They just don't offer email service, and that's just a reality of the service. Lastly, one con with NordVPN could be that they could improve the kind of privacy fundamentals on their website. Some VPNs use more privacy-friendly open source analytics software and stuff like that, a little less cookies on their website and stuff like that. These VPNs are admittedly much smaller than NordVPN and probably don't really need the infrastructure to kind of maintain these huge websites. If you look at the scale of NordVPN, for example, compared to some of these VPNs, it's kind of crazy actually. For example, a VPN called Molvad is often hailed as one of the VPNs that does like every little privacy check mark as good as possible. They don't really have much like integrations on their websites or cookies to track users at all. The website just is kind of standing there and people buy, and that's kind of it, which is good. But if you look at the scale of the platforms, it kind of makes sense that NordVPN would need a little bit more integrations on their websites, analytics, ways to optimize the website and so forth for the amount of users they have. If you look at the Google search trends, you can see the difference in traffic. NordVPN roughly has 5 times the amount of traffic Molvad does. Molvad doesn't really seem to optimize or try to increase their kind of traffic that much. I mean, if you look at it here, they have grown as a service, but compared to something like NordVPN, you might argue that the way they've done their website and stuff like that has given them a bigger growth trajectory and just kind of led them. I mean, at one point, these VPNs were like equal, and you've seen the clear progress in NordVPN. So whatever they're doing right to gain money, gain investors and stuff like that, build better products, launch tons of updates, it seems to be working. So there's an argument for that. But that is a con, that NordVPN does have a little bit more cookies and analytic tracking on their website. I'm not really going to sugarcoat the con. Anyways, guys, these are my cons of NordVPN. If you like this objective video, check out NordVPN, even if you don't mind the cons. Or if you want me to do another VPN like this video, let me know down in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys again very soon.